Electrathon really isn't a course per se, but it helps students in a lot of different ways. Kids learn a lot about physics, they learn a lot about applied mathematical concepts, engineering principles. They do a lot of research and development and design their own parts when they need to. Problem solving is definitely involved. Energy and environmental impact, graphic design, electronics, fabrication. So the kids that are in the Electrathon program do a little bit of everything, and we don't have just engineering students. We also have business students and students in the graphics area, and students from all over. So Electrathon seems to be good for all students.
Students from around central New York gathered at CNS High School Saturday.
Coming up, high school students compete to see who made the best energy efficient vehicle.
Price for a gallon of gas is inching closer and closer to that notorious $4 mark. Last week the national average was $3.61 a gallon. This week it's up another 9 cents from that. The prices are enough to make anyone squirm. Today, students from all over central New York gathered at Cicero North Syracuse High School in a sort of search for the silver bullet solution to the gas crisis. They created these model electric cars.
Gas prices were not a problem in this car race you're about to see. High school students from all
The goal of
over the
Electrathon is to get high school students from around the country designing, building, and racing electric cars. The Electrathon race is pretty much like a regular car race. Safety included. Drivers must wear DOT-approved helmets, and they have to wear protective gloves. The cars go through a pretty rigorous safety inspection before every race. Design rules and safety rules are strictly enforced on the track. Each team must have 2 drivers with a driver's license, and that gets more kids involved because at about between the 20 and 30-minute mark of the race, the students do a pit stop where they do a safety check and they switch drivers, so that gets 2 kids in the car to drive. You can't change the batteries, and there's usually between 5 and 10 cars on the track at the same time. But the goal is to make as many laps as possible in 1 hour. It's not for speed, it's more for efficiency. Some teams have as few as 4 members. Some teams like ours have between 10 and 15. Depends on how many kids are involved at the school district level. May be held in a parking lot. You might see it on somewhere in the out west or done on city streets, velodromes, parking garages, go-kart tracks, and in our case we race at Oswego Speedway. And the biggest race in the Northeast is at Lime Rock Park in Connecticut. Casanova High School started Electrathon back in the year 2005 when 5 students in the engineering design and development class wanted to do a year-long project and build an electric race car. I spent about 3 months trying to talk them out of it, telling them it would take too much time and too much money and we didn't have the knowledge to be able to do it. And they spent that time raising the money to actually go ahead and do it. Once the kids got done building and designing their car, they graduated. So we came up with an Electrathon racing team. We took a group of about 15 students to Lime Rock Park in Connecticut and raced, where we came in first place in our class, and we've been hooked ever since. That was in 2005. And since then, the kids have raised a bunch of money. We've written a bunch of grants. We've actually built the first car from a kit. The second car is built totally from scratch, from the ground up. The kids did a lot of fabrication. They built all their own parts. They got a lot of local companies to build parts that they needed for them also. So we now have 2 cars that we can race. And we race once a year, sometimes twice. We're hoping to start racing twice a year at Oswego Speedway. Electrathon started a long time ago. I don't know exactly how long ago, but I believe it started in the Pacific Northwest, and it became popular. It grew and grew and grew, and now there are many, many cars all across the United States and Canada. There are cars that enter races from other countries, so I guess you could call it international. But in the United States, there are thousands of teams. In New York State, we were the only car in upstate New York in 2005, and there are at least 20 to 25 teams that will be ready to race in the fall of 2010 in Oswego. So it's a growing sport, and a lot more students are getting involved.